Hi everybody, I'm Jack Zaleski. I'm the Forum editorial page editor. I want to welcome you to our second episode of the Forum Face-Off. We've got a great topic today. It's a timely topic. We're looking at what's going on in the oil patch in North Dakota. From the left, we'll have Linda Boyd Coates, and from the right, as usual, Scott Hennen. Linda, Scott, have at it.
Well, it's good to be back at another Forum Face-Off. Hi, Linda.
Absolutely. Hi, Scott.
I'm a little outraged about a particular topic that I know that
You are?
I am. Yeah.
Well, dig in. What is it? What's getting you?
Dead birds.
Dead birds.
Yeah, and I've been on the right end of a rifle and thankfully brought down a few dead birds in my time. And I want to begin by saying, I'm all for the proper management of waterfowl, and
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, and everything else, and that rules be followed and everything else.
Yeah.
But when we have North Dakota, a prime example, a beacon of prosperity for the rest of the country right now, as a great example, largely as a result of energy production matched up with our great agriculture economy. Right. And we have a Obama administration through its U.S. attorney in North Dakota targeting that industry with unprecedented criminal charges over 28 dead birds. I'm perplexed. I'm almost at a loss for words. Not quite, but almost at a loss for words. That I just think this is absolutely outrageous. I mean, again, just to reset, during the worst of the worst flooding through May and June of this year, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service was taking helicopters around North Dakota. And while most national, international media are converging on North Dakota to say, how are you doing this? How do you have the lowest unemployment and the fastest job growth and everything else? And tell us about this Bakken movement and everything else. They're taking helicopters around and trying desperately to find dead birds, which they did when there was the worst of the worst flooding, 28 of them, across 7 different sites, and now have decided to criminally prosecute 7 different oil companies for 28 dead birds, targeting an industry that is actually creating some jobs. I think that's outrageous.
Well, I don't know if I'd call it outrageous, because they were doing their jobs. It's not, I think there's been some outrage about the level of fines levied against these birds, but actually it's not about how much is a dead bird worth. I mean, I hear you as a hunter, and I know there are going to be hundreds of birds falling from the skies this weekend that are going to end up on the dinner table. But the purpose of those dead birds is as an indicator. The folks at Fish and Wildlife are doing their job to make sure that what we are experiencing is a wonderful oil boom and a real boon to North Dakota doesn't come at the expense of our environment, of the stewardship of the land we are entrusted to. And the reason those dead birds as an indicator are so important, especially in times of flooding, is that where those dead birds were found were in these oil rig waste pits, some of which are huge, big as a swimming pool, can be 15 feet deep. And during the flooding, they flooded. There's 900 of those pits, over 50 of them flooded. So there's toxic sludge going over the countryside, people's ranch land. And so it's an indicator that some of the oil companies, not all of them, but a handful, aren't playing by the rules.
Well, first of all, to suggest that the oil companies are not doing their job in managing the impact on the environment is not accurate. Number one, they follow a whole host of rules on the environment. They do a fabulous job. And I would also say there's netting on those pits. Those pits are temporary. But what I'm saying is, look, you really got to look long and hard when you're taking 7 different sites, 45 days, and the most they could muster was 28 birds. How'd the birds get there? Somebody put them there? Or did they land there? I mean, there are all kinds of questions there that are out there. Now, how is this handled in the past? This isn't the first time that a bird has landed in an oil reserve pit. Well, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife would investigate this. They'd work with the oil companies. They'd fix it. They'd say maybe do a little better netting or whatever. The point is, what's unprecedented here is that this is now criminal. This is 7 different oil companies being marched into federal court and saying you are up on not only jail time, but also a criminal penalty. Why is this necessary that it rise to the level of criminality in a federal court?
Well, I think it rises to that level because these are repeat offenses. And I think we as North Dakotans are entrusting law enforcement to make sure that everybody obeys the laws. If you're all about law and order and obeying the laws. And if most oil companies are playing by the rules, then they should all play by the rules. And you know as well as I do, Scott, that those are maximum penalties. And even as they said as early as today that they're going to be taking another look at how that wastewater needs to be disposed of. Was there netting over those pits? Not those particular ones when it should have been. So they're doing their job to make sure that our wonderful oil boom that no one wants to see go away is done responsibly.
I tell you, the job they're doing is targeting oil. And this is a war on oil. This administration cannot stand fossil fuels, which, by the way, 86% of our fuels are from fossil fuels. And whether it's coal, which they're after, whether it's oil, which they're after, I mean, they don't talk about natural gas and the opportunities that are there. These guys are just nonstop against energy. For one, again, to do their job is to say, okay, we have a problem here, let's fix it. How that's been done before is to say, oil company, we found some birds, we got to fix the netting, okay? Warning number one, or warning number two, or Fish and Wildlife comes to the site and says, you've not fixed it, okay, we need to get a hold of the Justice Department and maybe now we need to look at civil charges.
So
we write a letter. The point is, this went immediately to criminal charges. It is another example of this administration having a flat-out war on oil. They want to shut down fracking. They want to tax them more. They want to single them out there, and now they're coming after them with criminal charges again. Over 28 dead birds. I mean, this is insanity. You can't possibly believe this is a proper use of government.
28 dead birds, in this case, sent us a message that we need to follow up on. Until next time, Scott.
I can hardly wait.